Flow and annoy them. That's my job.
But
Sezony,
Joe,
Diablo 4.
few seasons in Diablo 4. Work.
Adam Fletcher, thank you so much for asking me. I'd love to talk about this for a bit. So let's talk about seasons. All right, so we're gonna have a helpful infographic to show you in just a second, but let me talk to you about seasons as a general rule. You know, as we're thinking about Diablo 4 and the launch product of the game, we are trying to make sure that we've got a really great experience that players are going to be able to enjoy for their first, character playthrough of the campaign and have an excellent experience. Seasonal content, our post-launch content, is going to be arriving shortly after the launch of the base game.
Mid to late July.
Mid to late July, actually. That's good. Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet.
Od połowy do końca czerwca będzie pierwszy sezon.
So that's the goal. We want to make sure that you've got enough time to play through your first character and really enjoy the campaign at your own pace and kind of explore.
Czyli po 2-3 tygodniach będzie sezon od premiery D4.
So when we're thinking about seasons in Diablo 4, we start off with thinking about a theme, the seasonal content of that season. So we're going to have 4 seasons a year, 1 per quarter, and each of these are going to have a really strong theme associated with them. And this theme is going to basically inform the things we want to do with all the content within the season, with things that might be appearing in the battle pass, things in the seasonal quest line, things associated with.
Okay, czyli każdy sezon będzie tematyczny w pewien
sposób. Make sure
sposób.
These things feel like they're connected in one coherent experience for players when they log in and they play.
3-miesięczne sezony, tak.
Yeah.
And so as part of that season, then to carry that theme forward, you're going to want to obviously have some sort of context or narrative around the season. Yes.
Yes, that's absolutely right. So that leads us to the seasonal quest line. So one of the questions I see get asked either like online or occasionally we'll see in like various chat channels is just that how are we thinking about story with regards to like the live service, and how are we extending the story of Diablo 4? And there's kind of like 2 approaches to the way that we're looking at things. With regards to seasons, we're not going to be using this as an opportunity to expand upon the campaign story of Diablo 4.
Right.
The campaign story of Diablo 4, featuring like Anarius and Lilith and the events of the Wanderer, those events are really going to be told over the course of our expansions, our post-launch expansions. We're not talking.
Czyli te główne zadania typu Inarius, Lilith będą rozszerzane wraz z wyjściem dodatków w Diablo 4, a nie sezonów.
That leaves our hand open to do really interesting things in seasons. So if a season is supposed to have like a theme with a gameplay mechanic and other things associated with it, it allows us to have like one really engaging seasonal quest line that manages to deliver on like a self-contained story.
W każdym sezonie będzie jeden taki główny wątek, który będzie bardzo engaging, czyli bardzo taki, wiecie, ciekawy, angażujący podobno, i będziemy mieli jakby do rozwiązania jakiś tam właśnie ten potężny quest. Ale nie będzie to związane z głównym wątkiem fabularnym i Inariusem i Lilith.
You're basically creating quest lines in the open world that can be completely different and completely, it's not constrained to, it has to be about the Inarius and Lilith story. It can be about anything that's sort of interesting you want to play into in the open world, right?
Absolutely. So if, for example, we had a season theme for the first season, which, again, we will not be discussing today, folks. We're going to save Season 1 to talk about a little bit later on.
Yeah, we plan on talking about Season 1 after launch.
That's right.
Będą mówić o sezonie pierwszym po starcie gry.
The theme was about zombies.
Which it is not.
No, this is a false premise, okay? But let's just say, for sake of argument, that it was about zombies as the theme. That means that like things that be showing up in the battle pass might be related to some like zombie stuff. The season quest line might be about like rising of zombies throughout Sanctuary. Like that, we try to make sure these
Czyli
things
po prostu tematyka, na przykład, jeżeli sezon pierwszy byłby tematyką zombie, to Battle Pass też będzie kręcił się wokół zadań o tematyce zombie i tak dalej, i tak dalej, i tak dalej. Będzie jakaś myśl przewodnia. Oczywiście.
Am I doing your job? I apologize.
No, you're doing great.
Oh, thanks, Adam.
You're doing amazing.
Thank you for the daily affirmation. I'll use it $20 later. Sorry, I'm just curious. I think like when you think about the theme, that obviously goes beyond story construct, but also goes into the mechanics, like how you think about gameplay. Yes.
Absolutely, and that brings us to the next major thing that I want to discuss, which is fresh gameplay. This is what I would. This is the great.
Każdy sezon będzie przynosił jakiś odświeżony gameplay.
Story content, which I already described. And then we want to introduce new mechanics and gameplay for players to engage with over the course of that season. So this comes down to things like just new power for players to earn or ways to experience the growth of their character.
Nowe moce, które mogą zdobywać postaci albo możliwości rozwoju postaci w każdym sezonie.
It really come down to like just wholesale like new features and things.
Dziękuję bardzo, Leon Zawodowiec. Dziękuję bardzo.
Players to experience. And then at the termination of the season, when the season is over, these sorts of features are going to be retired. to be considered for, again, in the future if we like them or not. But for now, we want to make sure that we're kind of maintaining a certain level of parity across the game, and we're not kind of creating layers of like cruft and distraction from the core Diablo experience, which we already feel is doing very well. So yeah, we're really excited to talk about those a little bit more in the future, but you can expect like exciting new features and gameplay to engage with between new monsters and mechanics, things for players to craft or do, change their gear, or just change their skills. So we're really excited about that stuff in the future.
And then when you think about seasonal stuff, we talked about, you know, when you look at, say, Diablo 3 has the chapters that you go through to get Hager's gift and those sorts of things. So that there's a sense of progression through a season. And we've obviously talked about the Battle Pass and how the Battle Pass will be in our previous blog around this stuff as well. But it's good to clarify again. So when you think about not just like, okay, I have a seasonal narrative, I have a seasonal mechanic or gameplay hook. Now, how do I think about progression within a season?
Sure. So, great question. So, when we're thinking about seasons, we want to make sure we are creating new opportunities for long-term progression. The first version of that we want to talk about really is the season journey, which does make a return from Diablo 3. So, inside the season journey,
czyli wróci Season Journey, czyli tak naprawdę ten dzienniczek sezonowy, który mieliśmy w Diablo 3, czyli na początku każdego sezonu będziemy mieli zadania do zrobienia podzielone na rozdziały, etapy i tak dalej. Oczywiście odblokowujemy dzięki temu transmogi, nagrody i tak dalej, nie? Które zostaną później do końca gry. Właśnie pokazują, jak ten dzienniczek wygląda. Tutaj mamy rozdział, chapter, 9 jakichś tam misji w tym chapterze i nagrody do zgarnięcia. Czyli widzicie, rozdziałów jest raz, 2, 3, 4, tam chyba 5, 6, 7 łącznie. Kończymy ostatni, otrzymujemy wszystkie nagrody, cieszymy się z nich, możemy się nimi chwalić później w kolejnych sezonach i tak dalej, nie? Diablo 3.
Season journey, if you remember, like going through each chapter required you to finish every single little bit of it before you could progress to another chapter. So this one obviously a little different in how you kind of approach it because you don't have to do every single thing. You can actually complete it beforehand by doing most of the objectives and kind of choosing specifically.
Yeah, like if I'm not a PvP player, I don't have to do the PvP objective to progress through the journey, right?
That's correct. If we have an objective that would send you like
Siedlisko zła jest jako dungeon w ogóle w Diablo 4. Czyli kolejny smaczek z Diablo 2 w Diablo 4.
You're going to earn rewards for completing the objectives, and you'll also earn some big rewards at the end of each chapter, where you're going to get like packs of like crafting materials and items, and you can also unlock actual legendary aspects that go into your Codex of Power.
Oh, nice. So not just earn through dungeons, you can earn through the journey.
A different set of aspects, in fact, will be available through the Codex of Power in this way. And some of the new legendary powers we add in every season will also be made available through this.
Będą się pojawiać nowe aspekty, nowe moce legendarne co sezon. Oczywiście pewnie te moce legendarne będą bardzo użyteczne w budowaniu endgame'owych buildów sezonowych. Pewnie będziemy chcieli je zdobyć.
But with that way, so you get like little drops from completing the objectives and big drops of that also from completing the chapters.
A, to była nazwa dungeona, okej. Achievka w sensie, okej.
How the Battle Pass works?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know there's been a lot
Dobra,
of
Battle Pass teraz.
Battle Pass, so let's talk through it today. So this is the Seasons tab, and this is going to be, you know, the hub for all things Seasons. Under that top secret label.
Tak wygląda Battle Pass, widzicie? Levele Battle Passa.
And then at the bottom here you can see the actual Battle Pass. And what you're seeing is a mix of the free tiers and the premium tiers of the Battle Pass.
Widzicie mix free tabów oraz tych takich zakutkowanych, to są premium Battle Pass, za które musicie zapłacić albo wykupić lepszą, droższą wersję gry. Te darmowe, do których każdy będzie miał dostęp, to są te niebieskie.
So there's 3 levels of the Battle Pass. There's the free track, which, like the name implies, you don't have to pay for. Everybody has access to that. The premium track, which is roughly $10 depending on where you are in the world. And then there's the accelerated track, which is just like the premium track, but it has includes 20 tier skips. It's folks who might have gotten.
Macie 3 traki, 3 różne drogi. Darmowa, premium za $10 czy tam euro oraz accelerated, czyli przyspieszona, kiedy kupicie ją, to uzyskujecie wszystkie nagrody z tego premium Battle Passa. Nie z normalnego, ale z premium, czyli wszystkie nagrody wizualne i tak dalej.
And the smoldering ashes are going to be like the currency that you use to unlock seasonal blessings.
Okay. Smoldering
so the
ash.
seasonal blessings are different buffs you can get that will help accelerate your progress through the season. So you can see, for example, here, you know, plus 3% to XP earned. That's going to help players, you know, level up again, level up multiple characters, and all of these are really just meant to help players through that seasonal progression, through that seasonal journey. It's important to note, though, that you know. There is a secondary level requirement on every free tier of the Battle Pass that contains smoldering ashes. So for example, if you were level 1 and you bought, you know, a bunch of tier skips and hadn't played yet, you wouldn't be able to access the smoldering ashes and spend them until you had actually like leveled up a character and met those level requirements. And this is to, you know, prevent folks from buying a ton of tier skips and keep everybody on a level.
Okej, czyli progresując w Battle Passie otrzymujemy Smoldering Ashes, czyli te proszki. A nie będziemy mogli tego kupić przyspieszonym Battle Passem, tylko naturalnie odblokowując w naturalny sposób, levelując postać, wykonując czynności. Dlatego nikt nie może tego wykupić szybciej, tych Smoldering Ashes. I te Smoldering Ashes, te proszki powodują, dzięki nim możemy wykupić dodatkowe boosty do naszego Battle Passa, czyli przyspieszamy progresję, ten pasek jakby expa naszego Battle Passa. Będziemy to uzyskiwać co parę tam tierów. Po prostu grając.
So yeah, let's talk about next the premium track. So like I mentioned, $10 USD depending on where you are in the world, and this contains 63 total reward tiers, so you add that to the 27. From the free track you get the 90 total.
Na free tracku macie 27 nagród, a na premium tracku za $10 macie 63 nagrody.
Two full armor sets for every class.
I te 63 nagrody nie mogą wpływać na waszą moc postaci, czyli tam nie będzie expa, nie będzie golda, nie będzie jakichś tam potionów do expa, ale będą transmogi prawdopodobnie, jakieś wizualne efekty.
Armor, which you can see here on the screen, and then there's just like a bunch of fun other.
W premiowanym, tym płatnym Battle Passie za $10/10 dostaniecie mounty, jakieś transmogi, laski, emotki.
When I role play.
I think that's actually a really fun idea, though. So like, it's not necessarily like big armor or things, but just more.
I jest tych nagród za premiowany Battle Pass 3 razy więcej niż w darmowym Battle Passie. To sobie wyobraźcie, że na jedną nagrodę w darmowym dostajecie 3 w premiowanym, no nie?
Quite a lot of time. You have essentially 120 days to do 90 tiers, which seems doable. Like,
yeah, we want it to be achievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, great.
Tak, na zasadzie chcesz wyglądać fajnie, no to musisz sypnąć groszem, tak, ale samego pay to win, znaczy oprócz samej daty premiery oczywiście i Deluxa, w samym tym Battle Passie nie ma jako tako, bo tam tutaj dostajemy tylko i wyłącznie transmogi, no nie?
Otherwise, people know about. It's not a zombie season, Ron.
You use the example, Joe. That's on you. That's
I was just trying to pick something. Okay, I'll say something. The season of the circus next time. Whatever. So actually could be kind of cool, like a devilish circus sort of feel. All right, I'll talk to people
scary
about that.
Clowns.
It's scary clowns, yeah, for sure. So yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, it's nice to get a little more information on the Battle Pass, like out there.
Right, and so. Okay, so we talked about progression.
Yeah.
We talked about both in the season journey and in the awesome battle pass. And so now when we think about what the seasons also provide is like, obviously, you know, we're hearing about balance. We're going to be hearing about, hey, how do we improve people's experience based on what we saw in the previous season? And actually, before we get into that, if I can interject, I'll steal one of your questions from Q&A. Can I do that?
Go right ahead.
Oh yeah, all right.
So one of the things that comes up, I get a lot on my Twitter feed is around, hey, how do I think about, you know, Diablo 3 seasons. Kagan said it earlier about like your seasonal character. That notion of do I have to re-roll to get into and experience the season and experience the narrative wrapper, to experience the mechanics, to experience the progression. Basically, do I have to start a new character?
Yeah. So Diablo 4 is balanced around the idea of trying to make sure that level up experience from 1 to 100 is really engaging and fun and very punchy when items drop for you. That your power progression feels a certain way as you play. So you do, as a result of that, we do balance around the idea of playing over the course of a quarter character, right? You can play a lot longer than that if you want, absolutely.
Right.
We want to make sure it feels really good to play inside that 9-day period. We are going to be having players like re-roll and make new characters with every new season, and be able to experience the growth of their character over the course of each of those quarters.
And I think you might have said it, but just because you talk really fast, I want to make sure it's really clear.
How dare you? No one has ever said that about me.
I'm a fast talker and you beat me. So the notion around, though, that you basically have to complete the campaign at least once before you can truly experience the season, right?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, there's a couple things that so once you unlock a couple things,
Trzeba skończyć kampanię przynajmniej raz, żeby zacząć przygodę sezonową.
Yeah, I mean, we get so many questions about it. I think it'd be good if we clear it
out. Yeah, sure. So first thing is, when you complete the campaign on any character, whether you're playing in the hardcore mode of the game or the normal mode of the game, no matter what difficulty of the game that you're playing and you beat the campaign on, from that point forward, every character that you make, you're going to have the option to skip the campaign as part of playing that character. So if you play the campaign as part of the this pre-season period before Season 1 begins, and you finish it, when you start playing in Season 1, you can choose to skip the campaign as part of your playthrough, which means you get to experience the new seasonal content right away. Otherwise, you can still choose to play through the campaign in seasons, but you'll need to finish the campaign content before the seasonal content is going to begin for you. So just things to think about as you play. So that's the first thing you get as kind of an account level unlock for your character as you play.
Right.
The second is when you're playing through the campaign, you're going to reach a point in the story where you're going to unlock your first horsey. And when you get your first horsey, once you unlock your first horsey, you're then going to have the ability to basically mount up with every one of your characters from that point forward.
Tak, trzeba skończyć kampanię albo żeby odblokować na przykład mounta, no nie, który się przyda później w sezonie. Generalnie blokować jeżdżenie na mountach. Raidowar, dziękuję bardzo za subika, piąteczka. Dzięki, dzięki.
Your horsey, yes, the horsey that died is then going to immediately revive and then you'll play with the horsey right away.
Zombies.
Oh my God!
Spoiler!
We have showed the video. People know. Okay. Honestly though, if I spoiled that moment, then I do deeply apologize, and we should put spoiler warnings on these things.
I think that Kagan brought up like zombie horses now is theme specific. I think that leans right into that seasonal theme.
Yeah.
Pivoting.
Yeah, absolutely.
3 weeks before lunch.
Yeah, sure. Sound off in the comments if you want zombie season. Let's hear it. Okay, so that's the second thing. You'll have access to your mount that you unlock. And then the last thing is that there's, as you're playing through as you probably played as part of like the open betas that we've done, and we'll see again in SummerSlam, you'll find these altars of Lola throughout the world.
Server Slam.
What did I say?
Server Slam.
Okay.
Server Slam.
Completely a slip, everybody. It has nothing to do with SummerSlam. So yeah, during the Server Slam, wow, I really did, didn't I?
SummerSlam.
So during the Server Slam, you're going to be finding altars of Lola throughout the world. And when you collect these, you get two things. One, you're getting renown, which is going to be basically used to...
Tak, no i teraz przypominałem jeszcze, że jakby warto zbierać kapliczki Lilith też, grając w kampanię i tak dalej. Ponieważ kapliczki Lilith dają buffa na całe konto i będziecie mieli z tego jakieś dodatkowe atrybuty i tak dalej, i tak dalej. Teraz na serwer Slamie na becie będziecie mogli sobie to przetestować, jeżeli ktoś tego nie szukał. Są takie znajdźki, jest ich dosyć sporo, ale po odblokowaniu wszystkich, no to tam jakiś tam buff dla postaci na pewno jest. Pytanie, czy będzie wam się chciało tego szukać, bo mi osobiście nie.
So, but what you're saying is, hey, I played the campaign, I found all these altars of Lilith the first time, and now when we go into a season, they are hidden again, but I still keep all the buffs I got the first time, all the things that are permanent, like the +2 intelligence, +2, God knows I need +2 intelligence, and +2 strength and what have you, but the idea of going and finding an altar to add more renown to the pool to progress, I can still do that. Like
Absolutely.
I can still go find them if I want to.
Yeah, and you get a little bit of experience for doing it as well. So yeah, they're still kind of fun to stumble across as part of your regular play experience.
Szopa, dziękuję bardzo.
You don't have to get them all again if you don't want to.
Dziękuję bardzo za 9. miesiączek. I hype się zbliża. Piąteczka.
That's right.
Dzięki za suba.
But like the entries in your Codex of Power are going to reset, so you're going to have to go find those aspects again.
Go to the dungeons.
Yeah, go to the dungeons again. So yeah, those are the things you're going to reset.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so that definitely great long-term. That was really on topic, actually, in terms of long-term progression, because it actually is long-term progression.
Yeah, by the letter of the law, it's long-term progression. So yeah, Rod's 100% correct. Thank you.
But when you think about...
Okej, czyli jakby warto zrobić kampanię przynajmniej raz, żeby odblokować od razu wierzchowca i do kolejnych sezonów. Warto znajdować kapliczki Lilith, które będą też przechodzić, ich buffy będą przechodzić na kolejne sezony, więc robimy to tylko raz i GG.
The data coming
Podsumowując.
or things that maybe we need to smooth out and sand down?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know that, operating.
By the way, powtórka będzie na YouTubie za dosłownie godzinkę. Jeżeli ktoś dopiero teraz przechodzi, to tutaj macie link. Za chwilę to wrzucamy na YouTube. Jeżeli kogoś nie było od początku.
And we're seeing how certain features and content is performing. That gives us opportunities to sort of like respond to that feedback and react to it with updates to the game.
Quality of life.
Things take lead time, so if we see immediately after launch that there's something that we could get maybe make an improvement on, it's tough to like immediately and very quickly turn around like big changes. But we want to make sure that we are carefully iterating to make Diablo 4 the best version of itself that it can be as we go.
Okej, czyli mówią o tym, że Diablo 4 będzie się zmieniało z sezonu na sezon i będą go tutaj ulepszać, kierując się feedbackiem ludzi.
Super appreciative because it just makes a better game in the end of the day, and people will actually be able to experience those changes from the beta in the Server Slam weekend this coming weekend because of that feedback. So players providing feedback on our forums, on Reddit, social media, we're always reading through all of that stuff.
No, love and hate zobaczymy, nie?
I think it's worth mentioning too in terms of the way that, like, in order to do to have a game that has
dungeony zmienili, nie? Sam feedbackowałem, żeby zmienili to w taki sposób i zmienili, także to jest na razie dobra przepowiednia. Zobaczymy, jak będzie.
Very much in flight. And that's what I think Joe was talking about around the idea that we're going to be as responsive as we can. So if there's a bug, or especially if it's something we can fix on the server, like, we'll do things quickly.
Yeah.
But if there's a big change, it may take a season to get there, just because Season 2 is already mostly in the can by the time Season 1
That's how game development works, everyone.
What? Yeah. You're developing things ahead of time? Unbelievable. That's why we
Dziękuję, Gumiś, za 4. miesiąc i Hype Train nadjeżdża jeszcze 2 minuty. Dziękuję.
Like, the way that you have to build seasons is you're basically having two seasonal teams that are leapfrogging each other with, like, we kind of call it the odd team and the even team to be able to...
Dobra, oni sobie to już pogadankę robią. Zmienili w Dungach to Skaldar, że są teraz krótsze troszkę, niektóre przynajmniej, i nie ma tej sprawy, że po uzyskaniu jakiegoś obiektywu, podniesieniu kostki, wcześniej wracałeś tą samą drogą, która nie miała już potworów i marnowałeś czas i to było nudne. Teraz zawsze progresujesz, zawsze pokonujesz potwory na swojej drodze, cały czas coś się dzieje.
The other part of the season is, like, we've got a lot of positive response on our character.
To było fatalne.
And it would be great to get Kagan back in to talk about sort of how we think about customization during the season, because we know maybe talk a little bit about what you can actually find in the world, but also, what we're excited about with the shop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sklep transmogów, jedziemy.
Hundreds of incredible transmogs.
Setki transmogów w sklepie będą. Setki.
The transmogs in the game really give you this this power, this sense of like visceral power progression for your character.
Right.
And so they...
No, generalnie opowiada o tym, jak transmogi działają, że dają poczucie mocy i tak dalej. Każdy to wie. Chodzi o to, żeby tak jak w Pawłowek, chodzi o to, żeby wyglądać dobrze. I nie ma co oszukiwać się, jedne z najpiękniejszych transmogów będą w sklepie do kupienia, no nie? Także to już jest decyzja każdego z osobna, czy ktoś chce inwestować więcej pieniędzy, czy ktoś chce inwestować mniej pieniędzy, czy ktoś chce tylko kupić to Diablo 4 i tyle. Ale na pewno transmogi będą bardzo kuszące.
Grounded in Diablo 4's world and its art style, but provide this like array of class fantasies. And so, for example, if you want to be like a thunder goddess as a sorceress, or you want to be a big barbarian that like rips the tongues out of your enemies and...
Tak, czyli po prostu właśnie opowiada o tym, że transmogi będą ładne. Transmogi będą po prostu ładne.
The shop is going to help provide a lot of this like diversity in the types of fantasies, and then you can take all those pieces and mix and match them with the cool stuff that you find in the game to express yourself all kinds of ways.
Yeah, I think one fun thing about this too, like players got a chance.
The
like
tongue ripping, is that the fun thing?
Absolutely,
yeah, tongue ripping.
But no, I was actually going to talk about. I was going to talk about our previous betas. We got a chance to see a lot of players making really cool-looking, customized characters in the game, and all of the gear they're collecting, it's still very low-level gear. Like there's much more stuff to go find.
Wait, there's more
wait
beyond
till you
level
get
20?
to the end game.
There's a lot more looks and appearances to find as you're progressing through more of the game.
One of the things I love about the equipment that's in the game is that we actually do regional themed armor and such.
Oh, here we go.
Well, here's
our side-by-side.
This is not my point.
Tutaj macie jakieś
to speak to your point. Maybe
przykłady
all I was going to say quickly before
tych zshopowanych itemów po prawej, po lewej in-game zwykłe itemy za darmożkę.
Regional looks, like the notion of like, oh, there's a cause, there's like a how's our
Akurat było takie mech moim zdaniem, będą dużo ładniejsze będą.
Just kind of interesting that when you go into a particular zone in the world and you start
Tak, raptor.
you're actually picking up pieces that are of that zone, so you can actually dress more like a person from that zone if you wanted to.
That's right, particularly of the legendary gear when you're leveling up 100%. Yeah, so there's a lot more to discover even after that as you get into world tiers and more.
Did you want to, Kegan, you want to talk us through some of the examples?
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the shop armors.
This is tongue ripping, right?
Yeah, there's like,
No,
you can see
no.
blood right out of the mouth, right there.
I don't know if the names are final, but this guy, I think his name is Death Raven, the shop guy. But yeah, so you can see sort of like a side-by-side of in-game armor for the barb versus like a shop armor.
I think I just want to one thing. I think it's so funny that we accidentally got these really awesome poses for the in-game armors, and all the shop armors are just a person standing.
Deadpan.
Like this was
checking his look in the mirror.
This wasn't completely intentional, but it was a funny.
It was totally an
thing
accident. It's because two different teams made the pictures. But
yeah. It's just funny, it's all.
But yeah, let's look through some of the other side-by-sides. Again,
Kolejny przykład, czarodziejka.
And then we have one of my favorites from the shop there. Oh yes, and this is Rogue side-by-side. So you can see, I think the shop Rogue here is called Deathwalker. So keep an eye out for tons of really cool, diverse fantasies in the shop.
I love the tassets on the in-game armor, and I love the pauldrons on the shop armor.
Just use the word tacet. Cool. I didn't.
There's honestly like
I've been in fancy games
the MTX is focused on collection, right? Like it's not like we're trying to like.
Tak, ale też mi się wydaje, że ta po lewo lepsza.
One channel or the other. There's stuff.
A po lewej taka trochę Sylvana z Windrunner, po prawej trochę Sauronka.
Like you said earlier, like you can mix and match, create your own fantasy, which is really cool.
See, now we're talking my language with the necro. But like, for example, if I
Tutaj nekromanta po prawej Cox.
I want that the shop helmet. Like when I buy that armor set, I can take that helmet and apply it to my in-game if I want it.
No, po prawej tutaj jest Cox.
Oh, in the wardrobe I can actually.
No, Sauronik, no.
From the shop and in the game. I think there are 8 colors in the dye palette. So yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to check that out during Server Slam, you should make sure that you get a chance to play the wardrobe and try dyeing some gear.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's
Na
customization. And then one more thing.
serwer Slamie, na becie będziemy mogli przymierzać różne transmogi jak coś. Teraz, co będzie za 2 dni.
But you will also be adding new like legendary powers, like I called out before, and also new unique items with every new season.
Każdy nowy sezon będzie przynosił nowe unikatowe przedmioty oraz inne nowe legendarne moce.
Yeah, those will be going to the Eternal Realm as well as the Seasonal Realm, and they're going to be evergreen. They're going to be there after the season.
Czyli co sezon będzie coś nowego.
Add to the pool.
And so speaking of evergreen, like that's true.
Nowa tematyka, nowy questline, nowe unikaty, nowe legendarne powery, wokół których będziemy tworzyć buildy. Dobrze to wygląda. Dobrze to brzmi. Zobaczymy, jak wyjdzie w praktyce. I sezon ma być, powtarzam, 2 do 3 tygodni po premierze D4, czyli połowa albo późny czerwiec. Czyli bardzo szybko.
Actually, I think maybe that might have been the first time someone's mentioned the Eternal Realm, but like that is the intention, much like Diablo 3, that a seasonal character will, be in the season playing everything that we've been talking about so far, and then when that season ends, that character will then move to the Eternal Realm where it will live on, and you can choose to play there, or you can choose for the next season roll a new seasonal character and go again. Yeah,
that's absolutely right. So the characters will get merged down in the Eternal Realm at the end of the season, giving you an opportunity to take some of the stuff that they collected over that period of time, and then build a new character as part of the next season.
Yeah, there's no reason to feel like to shy away from starting a new character on this season, because you will retain all of that progress.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
Klasycznie, niczego nie stracicie. Pod koniec sezonu wasza postać będzie bezpieczna, wasze itemy będą bezpieczne, przejdzie na non-ladder i będziecie mogli spokojnie stworzyć kolejną postać sezonową. Niczego nie tracicie, postacie nie są usuwane, itemy nie są usuwane, macie możecie być bezpieczni, klasycznie.
To get, you know, max out and prove I can beat this level 100 boss at level cap. Like, are there other things within seasons that are kind of like that, or how do I think about that sort of notion about like
Tak, Argonus, tak.
looking to the horizon of what I want to do?
Well, once again, Rod Ferguson, I couldn't ask for a better tee-up in this case. Let's discuss the idea of aspirational challenges. So with every season, we want to continue to build upon the end game and the goals that players are going to have for themselves with every season of Diablo 4. You know, and we've got some particularly big ideas as we go through the first couple of seasons when the game launches. So with every season, but we do want to continue to add these really pinnacle challenges for players to go and engage with.
Pickle challenges?
Pinnacle challenges.
Pinnacle.
I honestly heard.
We all heard pickle challenges.
Każdy sezon będzie dochodził jakiś endgame podobno. Endgame będzie rozwijany. Dlatego będą robić Aspirational Challenge, jakieś wyzwania, aspiracje.
I'm looking forward to the pickle challenges, all I'm saying.
Yeah, same. Okay, so basically, we want to make sure that we've got these new big challenges for players to go and engage with every time we release the season. And as we go, we'll continue to add more depth to this. One thing we want to be very careful about is we're not looking to just sort of like arbitrarily continue to make the game longer and longer and longer and longer to play.
Right.
That's not the goal. Again, we are balanced around hitting level 100, earning your Paragon points, getting all of your legendary unique items. That's the real focus of power progression for the player. We want to provide new and distinct opportunities for players to kind of express that power and new goals in the chase over the course of the season, without necessarily making like just more stuff that you have to go through in order to play the game. So yeah, things we're very excited about. New bosses, new major encounters, new dungeons, new things. And then as we see how players react.
Nowi bossowie, nowe challenge, nowi przeciwnicy, co sezon. Jako nowa forma endgame'u, jako część z form endgame'u, czyli będziemy dostawać z tego, co padają, bardzo dużo tego kontentu. No mega spoko to wygląda. Mega spoko to wygląda.
And then maybe bring it back later. And what I like about the kind of quarterly seasonal flow.
Czyli potwierdzają to, co mówili na samym początku wcześniej, że Diablo 4 będzie się formowało z biegiem czasu. Zobaczymy, gdzie będziemy za rok, na przykład za pół roku. Obserwujmy.
Too. It's like just being able to bring in like these really tough encounters and different bosses and things of that nature. And then these mechanical features, as we see how they perform and we see how players react to them, we may or may not decide to keep them on, to your point. And if they're particularly popular, we decide to keep them in.
Awesome.
We want to hear from players about what's working, what they're enjoying, what's, you know, and also, you know, what kinds of fantasies they want us to make in the shop. So let us know anything that you want, gameplay or from the shop and battle.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, this is ultimately going to be a conversation. And as we see how players are actually playing Diablo 4, that's going to help us, advise us on how we want to build Diablo.
Zaznaczają, że będą po wyjściu pierwszego sezonu bardzo zwracać uwagę na feedback, także feedbackujcie, wyrażajcie swoje opinie i oni będą prowadzili rozmowę z graczami, że tak powiem, i będą kolejne sezony dopasowali do tego feedbacku. Będą adjustowali.
That is incredibly important for hearing from players.
Zaznaczają to bardzo mocno. Jak na Blizzarda to jest niesamowite.
So, you know, if Diablo...
Zobaczymy, jak będzie.
We want to make sure that we don't allow balance issues persist so long that they start to kind of interrupt or disrupt that choice that we're trying to provide for players. We don't want like any one particular build to feel so powerful that there's not a reason to play other builds within a season. So we want to make adjustments to make sure that, like, you know, player builds that might not be seeing as much play, you know, get buffed and adjusted appropriately to make sure that they do see more use as time goes on. That is important to us. We will be making those changes on a regular basis.
Yeah, we don't want one way to play. We want every class and to have builds that all are equally as effective in terms of being successful. We don't want to be like, only Whirlwind Barbarians can succeed, so only everybody's playing.
Yeah, that's the ideal. The reality is that every season will be like something that's a little bit more powerful than something else. Sure. We just want to make sure that the distinction, the divide there is not so great that it feels like you're making the wrong choice mathematically to ever play anything beyond whatever's considered meta for that moment.
Right. Well, right. It's not like RPG players are min-maxers at all. They never try to do the most with the least ever.
No.
Joe,
like,
deadpan.
I'm not signing up for that. I think in the spirit of managing expectations and ripping band-aids off, I do think there's something we haven't talked about that we should at least say, knowing that we haven't talked about, which is leaderboards. I think the notion that
Leaderboardy.
and even like D2R as an example,
Drabinka.
The main thing about a D2R season is a leaderboard. And so just saying that in the early seasons, at least for season 1 and 2, there will not be a leaderboard. And that is something, again, as I said, a lot of stuff's already in flight. We understand the importance of leaderboards. We understand people wanting to be competitive in their PvE play, competitive in their build play, be able to show their mastery of certain things. And so it's definitely on our backlog that is a thing we're working towards, to provide the player community with leaderboards as we move forward through seasons, but it's not something you're going to see in season 1 and potentially not in season 2.
W sezonie pierwszym oraz drugim nie będzie rankingu żadnego, nie będzie żadnej drabinki, nie będzie żadnego leaderboarda, czyli właściwie nie będzie żadnego competitive sceny. Czyli takie rzeczy jak kompetytywność PvP, w PvE, min-maxowanie, nie ma żadnego znaczenia. Fatalnie. Fatalnie, fatalnie. Bardzo słabo, bardzo słabo. Takie rzeczy bardzo utrzymują grę przy życiu, bardzo pompują grę, hypują grę. Bardzo dużo jest kompetytywnych osób. Mówią, że będą to obserwować. Mówią, że będą to obserwować. Po prostu się nie wyrobili. Po prostu się nie wyrobili do tych drabinek. Fatalna opcja.
A launch of a game of this scale there can always be some things that we have to work through and settle in. But 2 is just again.
Tak, drabinka zawsze daje pipe'a. Ja rozumiem, że nie każdy jest kompetywny i tak dalej, ale to nie jest tylko tak, że tylko grają też ludzie, którzy po prostu nawet nie są bardzo kompetywni, ale te drabinki są zawsze spoko. Zawsze są spoko. Słabo, czyli przez przynajmniej 7 miesięcy nie będzie żadnych laderów, żadnej drabinki, niczego.
And mount armors, and then there's some other cool things like emotes and
czyli niedokończony produkt. Mocno niedokończony.
Nice. As we said, hardcore players, careful of PvP. When you die, you're dead.
Yeah, dead forever.
Dead forever.
Dętka w zonie PvP, w Fields of Hatred na HC-ku równa się śmierć. To nie będzie to pobłażliwe. Na HC-ku, jeżeli ktoś zginie na tej lokacji do PvP przez innego gracza, ginie całkowicie.
It is a popular question that we've gotten.
In game, of course.
We're confused by like, hey, if you die in hardcore, like, do you come back to life, or do you just like start off like with no gear or something?
Roll
like
again.
that? It's like,
start again.
Yeah,
start all over again.
Yeah, but that's
and in PvP too.
But
yes,
and that speaks to something that as we talk about the shop
to jest dobre,
one of the things is that when you buy one of the things that's sort of different, the battle pass, as you talked about, is the armor and those sorts of things are class agnostic. That when I buy something or when I get something in the battle pass, I can apply it to whatever class I'm playing. But the shop is different because the shop you can actually target. I can go and say, "Oh, I want this necromancer look," and it doesn't go across.
And it's very specific to like the necromancer fantasy.
Right, but it's not character based; it's account based. So if I, for whatever reason, roll 5 necromancers, I can apply that armor to all 5 of them. Right.
All future necromancers that you ever create. So for the infinite rogue like me, it's I'm gonna get a lot of value.
Right. Okay, great.
All right, I'm gonna try to pronounce these names, and some of them are easy, thankfully. But I'm gonna try to include people.
I was gonna say, he's like, I'm gonna try this, but Bob asks. Good job, Adam. You nailed that one.
Great disclaimer.
Pat myself on the back there. So we have a question from Negative Capable. If we get the premium battle pass late, is the favor retroactively applied?
It is. Like you will earn the favor, and then it will unlock.
Jeżeli wykupię Battle Pass płatny po tym, jak odblokowałem ten darmowy, praktycznie cały albo cały, to czy to zadziała wstecz? Zadziała. Wtedy, jeżeli dokupimy Battle Pass po odblokowaniu wszystkiego już, to dostaniemy wszystkie nagrody od razu.
Then it'll just suddenly unlock all those locked.
To samo powiedziała po mnie, nie powtarzaj po mnie.
And just to remind premium tiers,
I ten sam ruch zrobiła.
The cosmetics blessings are part of the free.
That's right. There's no smoldering ash in the
Zip. 0, no smoldering ash, no pay for power.
In premium tiers,
In
There
premium.
And
no pay for power at all.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm just saying no
Period.
smoldering ash in premium tiers.
Yes.
Also true.
But that's also, just to clarify, that's also true of the season journey, is that if let's say, I'm starting a new, I'm not getting the game till much later. It's season 2, and I'm buying the game at season 2. When I play the campaign, in the background, it's tracking the season journey accomplishments I'm doing while I'm playing the campaign. So it's not...
Jeżeli dołączę do gry na przykład, jeżeli kupię Diablo 4, kiedy już będzie sezon drugi na przykład i będę sobie grał kampanię, to mój progres, który poczynię w kampanii podczas levelowania pierwszej postaci, będzie się doliczał do dzienniczka sezonu drugiego też. Czyli jakieś tam pokonanie bossa, odbicie twierdzy i tak dalej. Także na bieżąco można robić dwie rzeczy naraz, nawet jeżeli ktoś dołącza później.
But you will be making progress the entire time. But I don't think your hypothetical case is likely to happen because obviously everybody is going to buy Diablo 4 on or before launch.
Right.
So yeah,
it's a good call.
Question from
QR code right here. QR code if you would like to. I did not see that.
Skanujcie szybko.
Question from Juck Lax. Around what level will you end up getting to the mount specifically?
So the problem wasn't the name, it was the
yeah,
question
it was
itself.
the question itself. I'm just trying to like work.
Tak, to jest Kalipok. Za chwilę będzie skrót na YouTubie.
Level 30.
Do godziny, max.
Yeah, it's around level 30ish.
It depends. Like
it really
depends.
depends.
Every one of these questions is going to be depending on how you play.
Yeah.
Are you open world playing and you're driving up your level before you do the golden path on the campaign? Like basically the horsey, as you and pony, we use different names for these. But the mount is unlocked as part of your campaign progression.
Right.
So you have to play the campaign at some point to unlock the mount. If you decide, I'm not touching the campaign, I'm going to get to level 100 just in the open world, you will not unlock that horse.
Tak, warto zrobić kampanię, żeby odblokować po prostu możliwość jeżdżenia na mountach. Można bić setny level bez, ale nie macie mounta wtedy.
Are you going to move the altars each season? So
Czy ołtarze Lilith będą przesuwane co sezon, czy zawsze w tym samym miejscu?
Right now, the plan is not to move them every season. That's something.
Nie będą przesuwać.
We'll see what the feedback is like, but right now.
Zobaczymy, jaki feedback będzie, ale teraz nie będziemy przesuwać.
Time, if you're looking for them, but we'll see how things adjust as we play.
Awesome.
Czyli może być poradnik 1 i będzie aktywny przez sezony.
With you, we might anyway.
Takich poradników na YouTubie będzie bardzo dużo.
Question from Slimy Saul.
People need we need more self-esteem in our community. I'm just telling you right now.
What about seasonal cosmetics? Are they account bound?
They are. So
Pewnie,
like if you unlock it.
Czy kosmetyczne itemy odblokowane poprzez ten dziennik sezonowy będą account bound, czyli przypisane do konta? Będą. Czyli jeżeli czarodziejką odblokujecie wszystkie transmogi, to możecie na innej czarodziejce nowej też ich użyć.
Transfer over from previous seasons.
No. So with every new season, you'll be resetting and starting to go through your Ash collection once again.
It's also like one of the things maybe we didn't follow, but like the season because there's
proszki, te czerwone proszki, które przyspieszają nasz Battle Pass, o którym mówiliśmy wcześniej, nie będą również przechodziły z sezonu na sezon. W każdym sezonie, w nowym Battle Passie trzeba odblokowywać od zera.
Of life, we go like, hey, we see this is an issue, or this is not working the way, or
te
we
proszki nazywają się Smoldering Ashes.
This is another place we can play every
I odblokowujemy w Battle Passie.
Question from Infernal Odin. Do you need
przyspieszają
to
one
have the
progress.
premium battle pass for the blessings?
You do not.
Yeah, you don't.
That's why
That's
Ten boost nazywa się Błogosławieństwo, Blessing.
the ashes for the blessings themselves.
And it's again, there's two conditions. You have to have the favor to get to those free tiers, and you need to have the level requirement so that you, again, so everybody's at the same place, kind of from a play perspective. So there's no way to accelerate that, and that you're somehow using tier skips to pay for power. You're not. It's because it's on the free track, and you have to have a certain level requirement to be able to unlock that that ash to be able to use in the blessing.
Oh, this is a long name. I'm not going to try. Is every season to level 100?
Oh, I thought that was their name.
Oh, that is all.
The question is every season. I'm like, wow, that is a long name.
Every season to level 100.
The season is till to the point where the player decides they've hit all the goals they have for themselves
you
that
cry,
season.
uncle.
But I mean, you are going to start level 1, and you are going to play level 100. You know, if you choose to, with every season. But it's up for a player to choose what goals.
Okej. Czy każdy sezon będzie miał maksymalnie...
Will shop items stay in the shop, or will there be limited cosmetics?
Okej. poprzednie pytanie, czy celem sezonu jest bicie 100 poziomu, oni odpowiedzieli, że każdy ma inne cele.
The shop is
Oczywiście.
personalized. There's limited shelf space in there, so you'll see.
Pytanie drugie, czy będą limitowane oferty w shopie? Będą.
And then they'll swap out periodically. So in preseason,
Będą sezonowo.
some new things will come into the shop, some old things will come.
Tak, będą sezonowe jakieś oferty, które wiadomo, że bardziej kuszą, bo jak coś się skończy, to warto to mieć. I tak, będą. Sezonowe, czy to od sezonu, czy to podejrzewam, że też od pór roku. Wiecie, halloweenowe, winter whale i tak dalej.
So if someone like Kagan, who's constantly playing rogue, or somebody like me who's constantly playing necro, they'll actually say like, hey, you seem to be playing a lot of rogue. Here's some rogue things that may either be new or something you may have missed previously, or hey, there's some necro stuff. And so it's one of the things that's really nice about the shop is it has a little bit of that in.
Nie no, to jest kosmetyka tylko i wyłącznie w shopie.
Recommendation engine where it can go and say like, hey, I noticed these you seem to be really interested in blood-looking things. Here's a new blood-looking thing, that kind of stuff.
Tak, będą promocje, będą bundlesy. Klasyka, klasyczny shop, tylko tutaj będzie jedynie shop z transmogryfikacjami, nie? Z mountami.
As mine would be filled with necros potentially. I mean, there'll be.
You'll get a mix,
right,
but
but you'll
like
get
it'll make. We want to make sure that the shop is serving you things that are actually interesting to you, and that we're not like forcing you to scroll through lots and lots of pages to find the exact thing you want. So, but to answer the question, no, when things leave the shop, they are not gone for good. They will rotate back in, and the shop is trying to show you things that you want to buy.
Okej, ale powiedziała też, że nawet jeżeli itemy znikną z shopa, to potem wrócą. Więc nie ma czegoś takiego, że... Czy jednak nie ma czegoś takiego, że... Mega limit, że nigdy nie będzie comebacka, nie? No ale to działa w taki sposób, że mogą wrócić za pół roku, albo za rok, albo za 1,5 roku, więc... Tak jak w Pokemonach jest z Pokemonami. Więc będzie kusiło bardziej, żeby to kupić.
Progress when a hardcore character dies.
So the things you complete in the season journey are all account bound, so you won't lose that progress. But the things that you collect on your character, that stuff's going to go away.
Yeah. So if you...
Klasycznie, jeżeli postać HC zginie, to tracimy wszystko, co mieliśmy w ikwepunku. W ekwipunku. W ikwepunku. Strzelaj w instrybutor. A wszystko, co było account bound, zostaje account bound oczywiście.
So Tesday was asking, I'm missing something, or Ashes, is it still a pay-to-win mechanic since you can advance 20 levels on the pass by paying? The thing that you may not caught was that there is a secondary requirement, which is you have to get to a specific level.
That's right.
To unlock that specific.
Tak, te proszki, które przyspieszają progresję Battle Passa, nie da się ich wykupić poprzez Accelerated Battle Pass, ani poprzez Premium Battle Pass, tylko tak czy siak trzeba tym darmowym Battle Passem sprogresować, więc nie ma możliwości, że w pewien sposób jest to P2W.
Tactica, when will we get Rod's hoodie in the shop?
Rod's hoodie has been in the shop. Unfortunately, I sent people there like, hey, if you want to go to the gear shop, and they only have smalls.
So technically, it's still there.
If you can buy, if you're small, which I am not. We are very aware of certain things that we have in the shop that are very popular. One was the Lilith denim jacket with the hoodie sleeves that I think was awesome couple of years ago that I don't know why we didn't bring back.
And we were literally just talking about this before the stream started too.
Yeah, exactly. And so we hear the comments that I wear this because in any interview that's required me to sit, I need to hide all the folds and stuff. So I use this as my shelter, but people like it. So we need to bring it back in the shop and get more stock. So that's
Teraz gadają o tym shopie z prawdziwymi przedmiotami.
Is a question regarding when you skip the campaign. From Master Barbarian. You're probably playing Barbarian.
It's not guaranteed.
Shocker.
When you skip the campaign, what level do you actually start at?
Level 1.
Level 1.
Every character you make a Diablo 4 is going to start at level 1.
Okay, and I think I answered this wrong on Twitter, so you can...
Jeżeli skipnę kampanię, zacznę sezon, po prostu omijamy kampanię, możemy zacząć od razu sezon grać bez kampanii, no nie? Raz przeszliśmy, już nie trzeba jej więcej przechodzić. To na jakim poziomie zaczynamy? Na poziomie pierwszym.
Preseason, when you skip the campaign, you'll start in Kiyowasadzie. Might not always be in Kiyowasadzie.
I zaczynamy w Kiowosadzie wtedy.
I guess, yeah, sure.
You start in a grave as a zombie that you wake up and then you go into darkness.
W Kiewosadzie zaczynamy, no i pewnie zaczynają się jakieś bounty, questy i tak dalej. Sezonowy questline.
Oh, well, that's the fun
It's all
ones,
pirates
wasn't
and
it?
zombies from here on out.
Ja na pewno zrobię kampanię tylko raz, potem będę ją omijał i od pierwszego levela szedł w sezony, nie?
Will there be unlockable
dużo
mounts or cosmetics through defeating like gameplay challenges, or will those only be through the shop itself?
Yes, there are some mounts.
Czy będą jakieś mounty, nagrody kosmetyczne za wykonywanie czynności, challenge'y w Diablo 4, czy tylko możliwe do zdobycia będą poprzez zakupienie w shopie? Odpowiedź brzmi tak, będą też nagrody wizualne za jakieś tam rzeczy w grze za darmo. Za darmo, no.
Yes, you can have like new titles and like again the aspects are things you'll be collecting as you play.
And then this was a question about the server slam stuff, which was if they had the open beta app on PlayStation, do they need to download a different one? The answer is no, you won't. Here in like the next couple minutes or so, you will be able to 2 minutes. Well, 2-ish minutes, just in case. 2-ish minutes. Please don't come after me at like 12 o'clock when it's like not available.
Oh no,
right
you should
then and
totally
there.
Pez radar on Twitter.
Please don't. But PlayStation, that app will actually automatically update.
Okej, pytanie, czy jak gram na PS-ie, w Diablo 4 betę, w serwer SLAM chcę zagrać, to czy muszę ściągać, uploadować coś? Nie, to się samo zupdate'uje i od 21 już można ściągać, update'ować betę na PC-tach. Na naszej apce Battle.netu wystarczy, że sobie tam zaznaczymy Diablo 4, zaznaczymy serwer SLAM i jak ktoś nie miał wcześniej, to sobie downloaduje, jak ktoś miał wcześniej betę Diablo 4, to sobie update'uje tylko.
Puppy pack, and then we have
Jak oglądasz to teraz na YouTubie, to w tym momencie już jest to możliwe do zrobienia. Możesz ściągnąć i przygotować się, bo za 2 dni, za 48 rusza beta.
Now, the reward is
It's like a car
Being
commercial.
revealed. Wait for it.
wait for it.
Nowa nagroda to jest ten róg przypięty do konia za pokonanie Ashawy na 20 poziomie. Za pokonanie Ashawy na serwer Slamie.
The cry of a shaman.
The cry of a shaman, because if you were declawed, you would cry too. But you have to beat Ashava at level 20. If you beat Ashava at level 19, no claw for you.
That's right.
You'll be the one crying, not Ashava. So that was just mean. But
what if I have friends who can like carry me through the combat and I can just go there at level 9?
You have to be level 20 to get the claw. Like you can beat Ashava, but plus don't be that person. Those are 11 people who need another level 20 to show up. Like do not, if you go early, you're just bringing the team down. Don't go early.
To jak to wygląda? To on powiedział teraz, że 20 level trzeba wbić, tak?
And then you'll get the cool new mount trophy. And it's an example of one of the other cosmetic types we have is mount trophies, but a lot of it is around achievements. Like we have stuff for PvP where you can demonstrate like I'm a badass who kills other players, and so you can have.
Ale 20 level plus skill Ashawy, czy sam 20 level? Okej.
It's just we want people to go in, and so you'll have 9 chances. So what we've done is the game server slam will start on Friday at 9
Tak,
a.m.
trzeba mieć 20 poziom i zabić Ashawę i pokonać Ashawę. Także nie tylko kill Ashawę, ale też trzeba bić maksymalny 20 poziom, bo teraz jest 20 poziom max. Plus dodatkowo, jeżeli nie zrobiliście poprzednich zadań, jeżeli nie macie innych nagród w poprzednich betach, można je jeszcze raz zdobyć. Czyli mamy tutaj nagrody Initial Casualty Title, trzeba dotrzeć do Kiowaszadu, Early Voyager Title, trzeba zdobyć 20 poziom na przynajmniej jednej postaci i Beta Wolfpack, czyli ten wilk przypięty do pleców, również za wbicie 20 poziomu w tej becie. Także żeby odblokować wszystkie nagrody, trzeba dotrzeć do Kiowosadu, wbić 20 level i pokonać Ashawę. I to jest wszystko. I wtedy odblokowujecie wszystko. Te nagrody przejdą wam do Diablo 4 oryginalnego, kiedy wyjdzie, kiedy będzie premiera.
One last question before we will wrap up, because this gives an opportunity for people to start downloading Server Slam, which is when you spend Smoldering Ash, can you re-roll that Smoldering Ash like onto like different blessings and so forth.
Like, can you unspend it?
Can you unspend it and put it on other blessings?
Honestly, I'll have to follow up with design.
I will follow up on that.
Oh, there we go.
And I will provide an answer
You
on that.
stumped us.
Yeah, we've been stumped.
Nie, na
We've
pewno
been
nie.
stumped.
Kupili blessing jeden, on działał, no to jak?
Just a reminder, Server Slam downloads will be starting here momentarily.
It should have already started 2 minutes ago.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
so you should be able to grab it from the BattleNet client, from PlayStation, Xbox as well. And if you already have the beta clients, those will start to update automatically, so you'll be prepared for this weekend. Provide feedback on our forums. You can see all the amazing rewards here and so forth for Server Slam this weekend. Provide all your feedback on the forums. We'll be reading forums, Reddit, social media, and so forth.
Yeah, I think we should also...
Oh, the puppy. I've got to play this
To jest ten
time.
beta
I was
wolf.
working last time, I didn't get
To
the
jest
puppy,
właśnie
so-
ten zwierzak, którego nosicie na plecach, którego możecie zdobyć w becie. Będzie takich więcej.
I mean, I think to be clear too, like I just want to again, as we talk about the realities of development,
Słodziak, a czy
I
latus
feel
co?
like the team did an amazing job responding to the feedback on the open beta.
Chciałoby się nosić nie tylko na plecach.
Dungeon and the font and all the stuff all the great feedback we had, and we still want that same feedback coming off Server Slam, but please recognize the game went gold a little while ago. We are 22 days away from launch, so our ability to respond in a really big way to feedback is going to be somewhat limited as we're kind of coming in to land this airplane.
Tak, ponoć będzie mógł dorosnąć.
We're doing our best and we're going to respond as best we can, but just in terms of the scope of changes, like we were able to do a lot coming off open beta.
To jest start early accessu, czyli dla ludzi, którzy wykupili
We're getting ready to go live. We want
Deluxe
our
w górę.
servers we want to make sure our servers are ready
22
for that.
dni
And so this is
zostały,
what this is about. We still want
22
your
dni, 3
feedback.
tygodnie.
I'm just saying, manage expectations. You may see the results of that feedback more towards season 1 or such. So just something to be aware of.
Yeah, so lots coming up here this weekend, and lots coming up before launch as well for Diablo 4. We're obviously really excited. This is actually, I will note, this is our last developer update live stream.
One tier.
Before launch. We will
Ostatni jest to developer
post-launch.
stream
Even if it's just you by
update
yourself,
przed,
that's
I will just jump on
przed
camera
premierą
and
Diablo 4.
deadpan
Ostatni
for
streamek.
1
You know, to Starbucks.
On your phone.
Yeah.
I imagine we'll be talking a great deal.
Yes. We
We've
will
already
be talking.
spoken quite a great deal.
And there's more. There's plenty more where
I
that
haven't
came
even
from.
said a fraction of what I could say.
I mean, that's what it is to be paid by the word.
Yep, it's true.
And just another reminder that all the topics that we discussed today regarding seasons, battle pass, and shop, and so forth, those are actually going to be available on Diablo4.com. We'll have a blog up immediately after this stream, so people can actually take a look there and get more information or read more information if you happen to just jump in halfway through or something like that.
Yeah.
To wszystko, co powiedzieli, będzie też w blogu na Diablo 4. Można sobie zerknąć.
Yeah.
And you want to read it at your own pace, then that's a good place to go to do that.
Side-eyeing Joe the whole time.
I appreciate you, Joe.
I appreciate Joe.
Okay.
We all appreciate you.
Joe's great.
Chyba
Joe's
wszystko.
great. And at the same time, the Server Slam information, we have a blog up for that as well. And that, again, starts at noon Pacific time, May 12th.
Noon. Yes, noon. Sorry.
Noon Pacific time, May 12th. So we hope to see you guys there.
In the U.S., Mother's Day weekend, or
Mother's
as we
Day
like
weekend.
now, Blessed Mother's Day weekend.
Blessed Mother's Day
Okay.
weekend in the
Dobra,
U.S.
byłoby
and
wszystko.
in some participating countries that have not already celebrated Mother's Day.
I know, that's yeah.
Or will celebrate Mother's Day at a different date. But yes. But yeah, thank you guys again for tuning in for another Diablo 4 developer
Dostaliśmy
update.
troszkę informacji faktycznie o tych sezonach, dostaliśmy trochę informacji o Endgame, o tym, co będą wprowadzać tam później. Wygląda to no ciekawie, spoko, pozytywnie, że będą słuchać tego feedbacku, albo przynajmniej planują. Poobserwujemy, zobaczymy, także słuchajcie, i tak film był długi, także ci, którzy oglądali na YouTube powtóreczkę ze streama, z live'a, na którego zapraszam serdecznie, czyli Twitch TV Nadiwins. Wpadajcie, właśnie wbijam 99 poziom na hardkorze w 4. laderze D2R. Potrzebuję wsparcia. Streamy po 24/7 maraton cały czas. Będziemy oczywiście grać w Server Slam w Diablo 4, kiedy ten nadejdzie. I dziękuję za słuchanie. Jeżeli chcesz być dalej na bieżąco z newsami z Diablo 4, z D2R, z buildami z D2R i być może poradnikami z Diablo 4, to zasubskrybuj. No i co? Czekam na komentarze, co o tym sądzicie, o tym, co powiedzieli, o czym gadaliśmy teraz, o sezonach przede wszystkim. Także trzymajcie się, do następnego i widzimy się w kolejnym filmie albo na live na Twitchu. Teraz będę streamował jeszcze przez 24 godziny razy X, także zapraszam, wpadaj już teraz. Trzymaj się, boom!